Yo, yo, yo. Sup? Mashed Potatoes is on time this morning. Good, good morning, bro. You did not miss this one. I'm so proud of you. You know what? I had my mom called me last night. She says I'm gonna be there. I wanna, cause she knows the book that I read. So she's like, I'm gonna be there. And then she texted me like 20 minutes ago and was like, yeah, I can't make it. She's gonna go back to bed. She's not feeling well though, so it's all good. I told her that you might be here and that you'd probably be sharing your dumb jokes, and she laughed. She laughed. She knows you have dumb jokes. So thanks for showing up, and good morning. I am freezing my little buns off right now. It's supposed to get really cold this week, and I left my bedroom window a little too far open, and it froze me. And then, but I had a, I, I, I'm not cold from that. I still worked out, and then I took a cold shower this morning, and I only usually take cold showers, um, after yoga, after hot yoga. Feels really nice after hot yoga. But geez, it was extra cold. So I'm a little frigid, but I got my hoodie on, so we're good. I also I changed my workout routine a little bit. I don't know if I've mentioned it already, but I've done, instead of doing like the isolated heavy lifts like benching and dumbbell presses and stuff, I've been doing just like carries and pulls and push. I've been working a lot on the sleigh, on that weight. You can put weights on a sleigh and push it. And I tied a rope around it a couple weeks ago, and I did this push and pull exercise with the sleigh, and I grab. I'm flexing right now on everybody, but it's such a different kind of exercise. Like, my body is sore in such a different way. I love it. I love it so much. I do that, and then I grab these. I grab 60-pound kettlebells, and I walk 50 meters, which is how far? 100 feet, or it would be 150 feet. So it's, um, yeah, I love it. It's hard. It's a different kind of hard. The book from last week, The Comfort Crisis. He explained how the best kinds of exercise for our body, like our bodies are designed to carry. That's how humans evolved. They evolved to carry things. So I'm trying to I want to be and you know what? That's pretty much exactly what the Spartan races are pretty much carrying and like climbing monkey bars. And there's pulling ropes and there's climbing ropes and there's anyway. These workouts are a lot more forward. I feel like they'll translate better to the Spartan races than just the isolated lifts. So, but then the cold shower kicked my butt. I'm really cold. I never know, like when you say cold shower, how cold is it supposed to be? Because you could are you supposed to just turn it to the max cold, or is it supposed to be just not warm, not hot? Because I'm normally in between that max cold and before the heater starts to kick in, and it's pretty freaking cold. Yeah, isn't it? Whatever. So anyway, I'm just gonna jump right into this. It's a big book. It was a long ass book. So, but you know the drill. Before I get started, I gotta say, if you are not with mashed potatoes right now in the chat, and you're listening to this not on a Monday at 8 a.m., then I encourage you to show up Monday morning at 8 a.m. And then, you know what? I'm going to take a step back. Before that, I'm going to say before 8 a.m., I encourage you to get up and exercise or stretch or take a walk or meditate for like 20, 30 minutes minimum. And then come to the podcast today. That's what I'm going to challenge you to do. Go exercise before work or before 8 a.m. and then come on over to the podcast. I do it live, 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and Streamlabs OBS, and it's all under Cadence Podcast. I know it says book club on the paper or on the artwork, because that's what this is. It's a book club. So there you go. There's your challenge to go do something hard, and then do a cold shower. I think cold showers is whatever temp makes you uncomfortable. I wouldn't know though. I don't do any uncomfortable. I'm not gritty. Yeah, you are. We talked about this last week. You're a dad. You're the grittiest one here, because you're a dad. Okay, here we go. The book last week is called 12 Rules for Life, An Antidote to Chaos by Jordan B. Peterson. This is the first of two series of rules. Jordan Peterson, if you ever heard of him from social media, you've probably seen, like, if you watch TikTok and stuff, he says some pretty, I don't know if it's controversial. He's just very intelligent and very bold. Jordan Peterson has taught mythology to lawyers, doctors, and business people, consulted for the UN Secretary General, helped his clinical clients manage depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, anxiety, and schizophrenia, served as an advisor to senior partners of major law firms, and lectured extensively in North America and Europe. With his students and colleagues at Harvard and the University of Toronto, Dr. Peterson has published more than 100 scientific papers, transforming the modern understanding of personality, while his now classic book, Maps of Meaning, The Architecture of Belief, revolutionized the psychology of religion. Oh, I don't know that. I have not heard of that book. Might have to go back to that one. That sounds awesome. Yeah, his classic book, Maps of Meaning, revolutionized the psychology of religion. Cool. So he's a, but it didn't say he's a clinical psychiatrist or psychologist. What would it be? Because maybe he's not. He is a. I've always known him as a professor, and he talks about being a. What's the difference between being a psychologist and a psychiatrist is like a doctor. The psychologist is one that just studies the psychology. So I think he's a psychiatrist. Yeah, he's brilliant. He's from Canada, and he's when he narrated his own book, and sometimes his little Canadian accent comes out, and it's really cute. And you also will learn that he's got so much going on in his big old brain. I think it's a lot of it goes over my head. This was a tough book to read. The points are laid out pretty straightforward at the ends of each chapter, but the all of the dialogue is like the meat of the book is all over the place. But he ties it all together. I have a confession to make towards the end of the book that I'll talk about, unfortunately. Oh, how did that happen? Yeah. Okay, let's get to it. Here's good morning. Here's your cheers with your morning coffee. All right. The book is broken up. It's 12 rules for life. It's broken up into 12 chapters. Not surprising. The 12 chapters, the 12 rules, the rules to minimize the chaos in your life is, and they're not the exact rules. They're like titles to stories. So the rule 1 to 12. Stand up with your shoulders back. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. Make friends with people who want the best for you. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. Set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. Pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. Tell the truth, or at least don't lie. Assume that the person you are listening to might know something you don't. Be precise in your speech. Do not bother children when they are skateboarding. Pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. Okay. Let's talk about it. That's all I need the book for. So the last two rules, rule 11 and 12, I read over the weekend, and full disclosure, I listened to them very late at night, driving home from parties and pickleball, and so I didn't really catch they're kind of vague to me still. And I googled the Cliff Notes, a quick summary of the last two chapters to kind of confirm. I don't remember much about them. I have a couple notes, but I don't remember much about the rule 11 and 12. But the other ones are they're rich, baby. So let's get started. In the intro called the overture, I said the idea of meaning in life, finding meaning in life centers around progression. He says, progression implies value. So to have meaning in life means to constantly have positive progression. And that's pretty much all of his Instagram, I feel like. To have meaning in life means to constantly have positive progression. All right. Rule 1. Stand up with your shoulders back. for each chapter was an hour and a half, and I probably got a paragraph. Well, some of them are longer, but really, a lot of it is jibber jabber. That a lot of stories and divergence. I read a review before I bought the book. The review said very good, but so tangential, and I think that's how you say it. It's the word that means tangent. The book is has lots of tangents. It's tangential. So I I I can see why someone would feel that way. I I feel that way a little bit too, but I don't think it was unrelated. It was all related. All of his dialogue, all the words served a purpose. Plus, this is like his life work. So I'm not too critical of it. He's a lot more experienced and knowledgeable than I am. Rule 1, stand up straight with your shoulders back, implies pretty much exactly what it says. All complex life experiences dominance hierarchies. Yeah, see how does okay. A result of natural selection, survival of the fittest. The whole point of of rule 1 is literally to have really good posture. Have really good posture. Because life has evolved in certain and life has evolved to benefit the strongest and the smartest, and maybe not even the smartest, but almost always the strongest, the most capable physically. So women are attracted to men that are big and strong, and not attracted to men that are small and frail or sick. You know what it makes me think of? I was at my girlfriend's family's for Thanksgiving, and her brother has a really sick dog, and he's old and sick, has tumors and not very good. And her other brother's girlfriend has another dog that's younger and really just a big old ball of light, an Australian Shepherd, and so much fun. And when when the little dog sees the old sick dog, she gets enraged. And I've heard from someone that dogs can smell sickness, and they can smell the degeneration of the other animals, and it makes sense. When you talk about survival of the fittest, wolves and bears and all of those animals aren't able to. Well, I guess maybe pack animals aren't able to talk to each other like we talk to each other. They don't have sympathy for each other. They really rely on the strength of the pack. And if you are weak or injured or sick, then they exile you. And that's what I've heard. So that's how humans have evolved as well. Humans have evolved to give praise or to benefit the strongest and the mightiest among us. And Peterson refers to this as a dominance hierarchy. So hierarchies exist in almost all areas of life, and he doesn't make hierarchy. He doesn't say hierarchies are bad. In today's world, we try to equalize everything, and we'll talk about how equalizing everything is impossible. How he says it's impossible, because the way things have evolved is to give in all areas. It includes a hierarchy. So you want to talk about dominance, there's a hierarchy. You want to talk about submissiveness, that's just the opposite of dominance, there's a hierarchy. And the status, those roles will be completely reversed. But there's hierarchies in all aspects of life. So I said, my thought was, we romanticize dominance hierarchies. The story of the weakling being exiled by their tribe or family, then gaining strength and courage to save the ones that disowned them, earns them great status. Basically, every Disney movie. And the movie I thought of that's not a Disney movie was How to Train Your Dragon. It's pretty much exactly. It's a we praise strength and courage, and yeah, yeah. So dominance hierarchies. Give yourself. I have a hard time. Mashed potatoes. I have a hard time standing up straight. My shoulders are very rounded. I still think you should go do yoga or go see a physical therapist and just just loosen up your shoulders. Stretch out your shoulders. I don't know. Just doing something to your upper back, your lower back, your shoulders to loosen them up. I feel like that'd be very good for you and for your injury. But I don't know. What do I know? I've had a lot of I've had a lot of tightness. I've not been injured like you are, but I there's certain postures in yoga that are when I started 7 months ago, 6 months ago were completely impossible. But the more I practice them, the more I can feel my shoulders stretching, reaching looser. So that's rule one. Have good posture. This directly having good posture directly gives you more confidence because of what good posture implies. Good posture implies that you're confident and strong and able, and other people will see you that way too. If you walk around slouched or nimble, then you'll be seen that way. You'll be seen as weak. It's just a program in our brains. That's how we judge each other. But if we have good posture, have confidence when we walk into a room. It's a psychology trick. I remember reading a study about. I don't want to talk too much about this rule one. I remember reading a study of how a lady walks into a room and walks in and immediately goes somewhere else and slouches and doesn't make eye contact with everyone and doesn't make any friends. And then another lady walks into a room, shoulders up and whatever, shoulders back, walks into the room and makes eye contact with a lot of people. And as she walks through the room, just is perusing and asserting her confidence and makes friends. It's a whatever. It's a whatever thing. Power stance. It works. You got it. You got that right. Tater Bug, 1975. Hey, thanks for showing up. You got it. So power stance. It works. Let's move on. Rule 2. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. Chaos and order are inseparable. You cannot have one without the other. Surrounding yourself with order creates chaos outside of your field of vision. Freud said, quote, "It is far better to render beings in your care competent than to protect them." Okay, I love this one. I love this quote. He says so this balance between chaos and order is like yin and yang. They work in I don't it's not congruence. They work at the same time. There's a balance between both of them. Where there's chaos, there's order on the other side, and where there's order, there's chaos on the other side. And he says, when you're as a parent, when you have kids, you want to shelter them and protect them from the chaos of the world. It's part of being a parent, I suppose. But he says, if you protect your kids, if you give your kids order, then you as the parent are dealing with the chaos. There's the balance. So, and then Freud says it's better to teach your kids and to let your to enable your kids to be competent in chaos than it is to protect them from the chaos. So that psychology applies to yourself. It's better to be strong than it is to be protected or to be sheltered. In essence, the reason we are less likely to take care of ourselves and more likely to take care of others is because he talks about Adam and Eve. is because of Adam and Eve. We don't hold value to our own lives as we are descendants of those who were cast out of the Garden of Eden. He makes lots of Bible references that don't make a lot of sense to me. Like, that doesn't make sense to me, but I wrote it down. If we wish to take care of ourselves, we must respect ourselves. We must do good to others, to respect ourselves. Love the sinner, hate the sin applies to yourself as well. He makes a lot of Bible references. He makes, he talks a lot about Christ, and he makes a lot of references to other religions, but pretty much every chapter, every rule is tied to the Bible somehow. Some rhetorical questions. What might my life look like if I cared for myself properly? Take these into consideration, young ones. What career would challenge me and render me productive and helpful? What should I be doing when I have freedom? Where am I in relation to my goals and desires? Who am I in my relation to my strengths and weaknesses? Where am I going, and what is in and out of my control? And then he quotes Friedrich Nietzsche, from a quote that comes from that Manson talks about in Hope is Fucked. He says, "He whose life has a why can bear almost any how. He whose life has a why can bear almost any how." Being able to answer those questions competently, and then discovering your why to your life and all of the decisions that you make, to the things that you do, is enabling yourself to be strong and competent yourself. So, rule 2, treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. Mashed potatoes, you should be a parent. You're already an expert. Join me. No. Simple as that. That's a hard no. I did learn about a friend from yoga who is pregnant though, and she said it was an accident, and now her whole life is, she's super happy, but also she's thinking about all these other things now. And I can't imagine having a baby right now, or having been surprised with a child. Everything changes when you have a baby, especially if you're not married and aren't planning on having a kid anytime soon. I mean, you were at least planning on it. I'm not ready to have a child, but if it happens, it happens. Am I right? Rule 3, make friends with people who want the best for you. Simple as that. Again, you know what I should do? I just had an idea. Would it be helpful if, like, up here at the top, I included the title of the book that I'm reading, so everyone knows what the book is that I'm reading, just right up here above my head, or maybe over here where it's kind of white. Or I could get rid of the social medias and put it down here. I don't know. That'd be a good idea though, so I don't have to keep referencing why that rule applies, because the book is called 12 Rules for Life: An Antidote to Chaos. So making friends with people who want the best for you is an antidote to chaos. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I said, it is easier to have mediocre or bad friends than to have good friends. Good relationships take effort on both ends. Have humility and courage to surround yourself with wiser, stronger people than you. How many of us have lazy, dumb friends sometimes? How many of us have friends I have the same friends from high school, from some of them from elementary school, and most of them actually. And it's hard making new friends. So, but the one thing I do love about my friends is we all are a-holes to each other, but we all have each other's back as well. A friend who doesn't want the best for you probably is a friend that doesn't care about your ambitions or your desires, and tears you down at your doesn't maybe not even tears you down, but doesn't celebrate your accomplishments with you. Maybe is extra critical. Mashed potatoes from sixth grade. He moved in sixth grade, and he was already 21 when he moved in. He was a 21-year-old in the sixth grade, and he's been 21 for the last 10 years. And then now he's getting a little older. So we made friends with the big kid because he was he was quickly the most popular, very quickly, and it went straight to his head. So it's hard to make good friends. It's hard to keep friends that want the best for you, because having relationships like that take effort. It takes effort to have people in your life who care about you and what you're doing. And it takes effort when things aren't going great and you have conflict somewhere, somehow. I mean, mashed potatoes. This guy since sixth grade. We've had a couple tiffs over girls, and we took the time to talk about it, and we make mistakes. I've made plenty of mistakes in my friendships, but the ones that are worth it are the ones that put the effort into reconciling. And one thing, I don't know if I've shared this before. Maybe I have. A few months ago now, I left my friend group chat, and I did it because I read what was it called? Do Nothing by Celeste Headley. She talks about how, well, the book is called Do Nothing, and the whole point of the book is to reduce the stimuli in your life, to get rid of the people and things that aren't serving you and your purpose, that aren't making you happy. And I notice about myself, as I get way too attached to the group chats, my group chats with my friends. Not because, because the content's great and I love my friends, but I get too, I don't know. I don't even know I don't know what the right word is, but I just sit and stare and wait for people to reply to texts, and then when you look at the group, there's like 10 people in the group chat, and it looks like just a thread between me and someone else, because I respond to everything, because I care so much to talk to my friends, to engage with my friends. It's just part of my personality. So I noticed that it was too distracting for me, and not because people, anyway, so I'd left the chat, and a consequence that I wasn't anticipating from the chat was I realized the friends that cared enough to stay in contact, to stay in touch with me after leaving. It kind of seemed like being in the group chat was a substitute for real life interaction, or just interaction at all. And then after leaving, I realized the friends that I cared enough about to keep communicating with, I still texted and called and made plans to do stuff with, and vice versa. But there are some friends that I haven't talked to from the group chat where I thought we were all buddies. Some of them I don't talk to at all anymore, and it's not because I don't love them as much. It's just the nature of what social media does, what these group chats, the accessibility of communication. So a consequence to leaving my friend group chat was I learned who actually wants the best for me, and I got it. And you know what? Mashed Potatoes is here representing. He says friends forever. We haven't had a tiff in a while. I think we both are growing up and maturing. We play pickleball, and I mean our last tiff was, and it wasn't really even a tiff, but when I screwed up the concert for us. So, and yeah, you didn't even say anything. I said something about it. You didn't even say anything about it. But maybe if I piss you off, you should tell me, because I need to know. I want to know, and I don't want to piss you off. So anyway, make friends with people who want the best for you. It's hard to have good friends. It's hard to have friends that want the best for you at all times. So Dump the ones that don't want the best for you. And maybe don't even dump them, but don't give them so much of your attention, so much of your effort. It's got to be reciprocated. That's a healthy relationship. It's like you don't date people that you shouldn't date people that you barely connect with. Yeah, that wasn't a tiff. All right, I'm glad you feel that way. That's rule 3. Rule 4, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not with who someone else is today. This kind of goes, well, maybe not. Maybe not. His advice is to simply ignore these people. My advice is to get off social media, unfollow them, for starters. Unfollow. I unfollowed everybody pretty much, except for high status people like Jordan Peterson, Rogan, Cam Hanes, Jocko Willink. These people that I tend to lean on, who I think are badasses. I don't compare myself to them. I aspire to be like them. But when I follow people on social media that are of similar standing to me, I totally compare myself to them. And I compare my relationship to other relationships. I compare my business success to other people's business success. Like when I see pictures of or videos of super mega rich people with mansions and 100 cars, I don't compare myself to them because that's a status that I'm not even close to. But when I see a picture or video of a friend who has a business that maybe has a dozen employees or just bought a new truck or something like that that's almost in my reach, I totally compare myself and my success to that person. And when I see someone that I went to high school with getting married or having a kid that I don't talk to, I compare my relationship to that relationship and where I should be. But kind of like the last rule, a healthy way to balance that is of comparison is to not surround yourself with them. I do think, and I don't think this is what Peterson is saying. I do think that comparison it's almost a biological trait for humans, because if we're weak in an area and we see someone succeeding or strong in an area that is proving them useful or giving them some kind of advantage, we want to emulate that as well. We want to be strong. People want to be attractive and strong, capable and successful. And but the point is this hyper availability of other people and their success and their happiness, a lot of it which is just clout on social media. It's not even real. It's just hyped up success. We compare ourselves directly to that. But the point is, don't compare yourself with those people. Compare yourself with who you were the day before. Are you improving from where you were the day before? Do not concern yourself with what other people are doing. You have plenty to do yourself. Instead of playing the tyrant, pay attention. Tell the truth rather than manipulate. Don't envy. Nobody has it better. The grass is not always greener. The grass is probably never greener. Everybody that is posting about happy shit on their life is also dealing with shit themselves. No one's posting the days that they're looking like shit or feeling like shit or sick or their loved ones are dying, and even when they're talking about their loved ones that are dying, it's the really like the positive part of that message, but a lot of that is hard and sad, and you don't see people crying or fighting unless it's like a World Star video or people fighting. But that's the point. Rule 4. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. You can only improve yourself. Do not compare yourself with who someone else is today. Rule 5. Do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. This one's for you, mashed potatoes. Lots. I took a lot of notes on this one. Trying to get ready to be a dad, I guess. Parents sometimes want their child's friendship more than their respect, so they behave more as friends than parents. Children are programmed to get attention from adults. They push adults' buttons to see what they can get away with. Children become damaged when they are no longer corrected, disciplined, or instructed. They cry for different reasons. They cry out of fear and sadness, and they cry out of anger. Fear and sadness crying is different than anger crying, which is a type of dominance, which should be treated as such. It reminds me of a video we saw in high school. I think we were in the same class. Some psychology teacher or psychologist. What was it? It was like a TV show called The Nanny or something, Super Nanny or something like that. And there was a baby who cries, and the parents just pull him out of her crib, and they're like, we don't know how to get her to sleep in her crib. And so the Super Nanny was like, okay, here's what you do. And the Super Nanny showed you are expressing your dominance to the child as a parent, which can seem cruel, but it's psychology. And what he says when he says, anger crying is a type of dominance and should be treated as such. You should express to your child that they are not dominant over you. You are dominant over them. You, if you're a good parent, has the best for their child, and they don't let them do whatever they want. So the Super Nanny, the kid was crying and crawling over her crib and trying to get out, and the Super Nanny would expressionless pick the kid up, put it in its crib, and then just stand there and look at the kid. And every time the kid tried to get out of the crib, they'd put it back and put it back. And after a few times, the kid would just sit there in the crib and scream. And the Super Nanny is, it's all no emotion, no reaction, because the crying is trying to push the parent's button. The Super Nanny is showing that she's not affected by the crying. So the kid cries and cries, and she's just staring at the Super Nanny. And then when the kid stops crying, the Super Nanny leaves the room, and then the kid gets out of the crib, and they just repeat that until the kid eventually learns to fall asleep. It's the psychology. And Peterson did the exact same thing with his kid. He said his son would do the same thing, and he would lay the kid down on his back or whatever. I don't know. You're not. Anyway, he'd put the kid down, and the kid would get up and try to crawl out. But Peterson did the same thing. And the crying is not out of distress; it's out of anger. The crying is out of anger because the kid is trying to see what's appropriate for what is appropriate behavior. He talks about kids hit their parents first one time, and if it's tolerated the very first time, the kid is programs that hitting is acceptable. If a kid hits mom and mom's like, "Oh, ow, what are you doing?" and or laughs or something, the kid thinks, "Oh, hitting is funny or hitting is fun," and so the kid hits. And then after maybe a dozen times hitting mom's like, "Okay, enough hitting." The kid's like, "No, because 12 times you were laughing and it was funny." So the behavior you do not want out of a child cannot be tolerated at any time. That's exerting your dominance as a parent over your child. The principle of chaos and order balance applies here, where disciplining your child may be harsh now, but better for them in the long run. Whereas neglecting punishment for short-term child approval makes life harder for the child later. He talks about how it makes kids poorly socialized. Kids that, because, the kid that grows up thinking hitting is okay is going to hit their friends, and it's going to make their friends not like them. And then the kid's not going to have friends. See, it's the same thing. The kid that cries to get their way is going to cry with their friends. It's going to cry at school. So the things as a parent, you nip those things all in the bud. And of course, I'm only talking as a person who's just read a book about parenting, and I don't actually know how difficult it is to be that patient with the child. I'm just saying this is the whole idea. To nip those undesirable behaviors in the bud, to allow them to be highly socialized or to be accepted socially with their friends, with their peers, by their teachers, because that serves them far better in the long run than allowing the kid to do whatever they want in the short term and then trying to change the behavior later on. That doesn't work. Poorly socialized children have terrible lives. Disciplining your child now allows them to socialize better later. Disciplinary rules as a parent. Limit the rules. Use minimum necessary force. Minimum necessary force. And by minimum force, he means don't go from 0 to 100 and don't spank your child for the first offense. He says some kids are more stubborn and push buttons harder than other kids. So, and I guess in the example for his kid that's was crawling out of the crib, the super nanny was able to set the kid down and the kid would eventually lay down and fall asleep. But Peterson said that his kid was so stubborn that when he would set his kid in the crib, he would lightly push the kid's chest into the crib as he tried to get up, and the kid would struggle and couldn't get up. So, but eventually, just the gentle force is a little more assertive than the super nanny, and it might seem aggressive or inappropriate, but it's just the assertion of dominance. So he says, use the minimum necessary force. So don't resort to spanking or to hitting ever. Yes, there you go. And use minimum force necessary. Have a partner to support and correct the other parent. Yep, parents that children are supposed to be raised in with two parents. That's the best environment for children, he says. Two parents. And parents should understand their own capacity to be harsh, angry, resentful, bitter, etc. Your duty as a parent is to act as proxy for the real world. That's your duty as a parent. Clear rules and proper discipline is what he rants on at the end. Clear rules, quote, clear rules make for secure children and calm, rational parents. Clear rules make for secure children and calm, rational parents. I said fascinating is disciplining your child. That doesn't make sense. Disciplining your child early humbles them. They become teachable and pleasant. Undisciplined children grow to believe they have control over everything and suffer and cause suffering. Yep, discipline early for your child leads to more desirable behavior, better socialized children, and it serves them better in the long run. Okay, we're getting there. That's rule 5. Rule 5, do not let your children do anything that makes you dislike them. Rule 6, set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world. This is, my note was, this chapter is all about accountability and taking responsibility for all of your actions. So a list of questions I wrote from this chapter. Consider your circumstances. Have you taken first I'll say, something that I am now considering very attractive is in people, equality is people who take accountability for their actions, that take responsibility. If someone fucks up or does something dumb or says something dumb or commits to something and then bails, okay, well, that's the other side. Attractive behavior is committing and taking responsibility. Unattractive behavior is bailing and lying and ditching out and whatever. But like my mom this morning, she called me last night excited to come to the podcast, and then this morning she called and said that she was sorry she couldn't make it. She wanted to be here, but she's not feeling well, and I get that. And I'm sympathetic and understanding of that. And if she had called and said, I can't wait to be there, and then no shows and never texts me about it later on, never calls me, and I had to ask her what happened, and she says, oh, well, I just couldn't make it. That's unattractive. Someone commits to play pickleball, and then I won't say it. I had friends bail on me playing pickleball yesterday, and it sucked. Sucked. Anyway, consider your circumstances. Have you taken full advantage of the opportunities offered to you? Are you working hard on your career? Have you made peace with those who hold bitterness against you? Are you treating your spouse and kids with dignity and respect? Do you have habits that are destroying your health and well-being? Are you truly shouldering your responsibilities? Are there things you know you could do to make your life and those around you better? Have you cleaned up your life? And then stop doing what you know what is wrong if you are certain that it is. So take accountability, take responsibility before you criticize the world. That's rule 6. Rule 7, pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. And I had to look this up, and I'll look it up again. Expedient is, in one word, convenient. So I'll say it again. Pursue what is meaningful, not what is convenient. Sharing, this is part of the chapter. Sharing is a biological behavior that displays camaraderie, except he says camaraderie. I think that's how he said it in the book. Camaraderie. Sharing is a biological behavior that displays camaraderie and cooperation in a tribe, building reputation and trust, period. Sacrifice, delayed gratification is the theme of this chapter. Yep. He says it 100 times. We sacrifice the present to have a better future. That's just like disciplining your child. We sacrifice the easy times with your kids now. We are patient, long suffering with our kids now to help them have a better life in the future. We do that with ourselves as well. Meaning trumps convenience. Expedience is avoiding responsibility. Quote, having meaning in your life is better than having what you want. Meaning signifies what you are doing is right and good. He gets very emotional at the end of this chapter. You could tell it means a lot to him. And it is a beautiful chapter. It's a beautiful principle. Pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient, not what is convenient. Because I think a part of the definition of expedient is convenience, but sometimes that convenient, it may be immoral. Oh, excuse me. So having, taking time to be aware of what your body needs, and then choosing. It's just like understanding when you're hungry, instead of chasing after the easy, convenient, fast food, to take time and to make good food, your body appreciates it better now. And guess what? You're not going to feel and look and do better off of one good meal. It's consistently eating good meals all the time. Where did we talk about this? Did this come from The Comfort Crisis? Or did it come from another book? But that principle, oh no, it was an essay I wrote just recently. We are what we repeatedly and consistently do. Not what we do one time. We are what we repeatedly and consistently do. I kind of want to post it as a blog or something. It was a really good essay. That's why exercising, even if it's just showing up to the gym for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, if it's opting for water instead of a Coke, if it's waking up at 8 o'clock every day instead of noon, or even waking up at 10 instead of noon. We are what we repeatedly and consistently do. And if you want a better life, if you want control of your emotions, if you want to take control of what's in your control, your actions, sometimes your emotions, your attitude, you need to practice discipline and delayed gratification. Something that's was such a turnoff for me for so long, because why not go pursue the things that feel good and taste good and smell good, and because oh, you only get this one life, and life is short, so go do all the exciting things. And yeah, I still kind of feel that way a lot of the times. But when I see I have people in my life that are getting older, that are sick all the time, that are unhealthy, and I also know people that are getting older and they're only getting stronger, but it's because of their consistent actions over time for the last 20 years, 30 years, 10 years, 5 years. It's our lives is what we consistently do. It's what we consistently do. You wrote an essay? Yeah, mashed potatoes. I wrote an essay. I write almost every day. And I usually write after yoga when my body is cleansed and my mind is clear. And I usually I'll spend 15 minutes meditating and my thoughts go crazy. Your thoughts go crazy in a hot yoga room after doing hot yoga when you're meditating. And yeah, and then I'll write I'll write a I usually write it's like a journal. It's pretty much a journal entry. I record. Sometimes I have something from my meditation that I can talk about, or sometimes I just. But I like to. I've been really getting into writing. It helps my brain process, just like this podcast does. I'll send you the essay. I'll email it to you. Is your email still lzeppelin at hotmail.com or whatever it was? So that's rule 7. Pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. Rule 8. 57 minutes in. Jeez, we got 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 5 more rules. Rule 8. Tell the truth. Or at least don't lie. He wrote a Bible verse. He mentioned a Bible verse, and I wrote the Bible verse down. Hayden, it's Mark 8:36. Do you know it? Mark 8:36. What is good? Wait, what good is? Well, actually, they have the King James version on here. That's the one I'm familiar with. Here we go. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his soul? Lose his own soul. Yep. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Yeah, awesome. Cool. That's rule 8. That was the intro to rule 8. Tell the truth. Deceit is one of the greatest threats to humanity today. Think about dishonesty in the government or corporations or whatever. All people serve their ambitions. Be true to yourself. Deceit is one of the greatest threats to humanity today. That was his major point for this chapter. Being accountable to our mistakes is the only way we can save the planet. And that is what Thich Nhat Hanh says, or they call him Thai. That's what he says in Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet. Being accountable to our mistakes is the only way we can save the planet. Lying to smooth things over is only a mirage of peace. Lies compound. They are not transparent, and they corrupt. Lies will corrupt the whole world. Mashed Potatoes says, I couldn't find Mark 8:36 fast enough because they've messed up the Gospel Library app. It's a disgrace now, honestly. You can't just search the verse. I mean, I just Googled it. That was easy. I forgot about the Gospel Library app. That thing's got everything. Yeah, lies compound. They are not transparent and corrupt. Tell the truth. If we want peace in our world, in our government, in a bit on a broad scale, we need to be honest and transparent. And I listened to Jocko Willink on Rogan podcast recently, and he's a Navy SEAL sergeant. He's high ranked in the SEALs, and he's a hardcore motherfucker. And he says the same thing. Transparency is the only way to successfully run a business, corporation, or imagine, and then at a small level in your friendships or in your intimate relationships, you have to be honest and you have to be transparent. That's the only way that those relationships will work. Or you lie and deceive the entire time. And if you never get caught, then maybe it works out because you never got caught. But if you get caught lying and deceiving, it only punishes you. There's nothing good that comes from lying and deceiving. So on a grand scale, we have to be honest about what's happening in our world. We have to be transparent about we, as in the government and corporations, need to be transparent about how they run their business, how they run the government, and if they make mistakes, they need to be accountable for it. They need to be accountable personally. One thing that Rogan says all the time that comes to my mind is when COVID came and governors, mayors were shutting businesses down. Those people were still getting paid, and some of them were getting bonuses. And Rogan says if a governor should only be compensated for their successes in their state and in their cities. So instead of being rewarded for shutting businesses down where everyone else was suffering, but the government officials were being rewarded or being paid for it, everyone should be compensated for their fair and honest work. Because anyway, I don't want to get into the whole COVID thing, and because I'm not that intelligent or savvy anyway. So, Rule 8, tell the truth, or at least don't lie. Rule 9, assume the person you are listening to knows something that you don't. Listen more. Help people become critical thinkers. To truly listen is to hear something without analyzing. Talking, and I'd include writing, is the vehicle for learning, formulating thoughts, dissecting them, and turning them into ideas. That's why I like to write. I like talking, which is this podcast, and I also include writing, which is what I like to do after yoga, is the vehicle for learning, formulating thoughts, dissecting them, and turning them into ideas. If you engage in conversation with someone and you don't allow them to talk, you don't give them the chance to talk, and you don't listen to them, their ideas are not going to formulate. They're going to be pounded with your information, and if you don't truly listen to them, then they're not going to be able to analyze their own thoughts. And this for me is awesome because it's just open, free dialogue, and I get a few comments, sometimes correcting or whatever, but I get to let my thoughts run. Helps me understand what I believe and what I actually think about world events and things like this, and just morality and the human experience. So to be a good listener is to allow people to do the same thing. I said women tend to contemplate. Oh, well, this is a point from Peterson that I paraphrase. Women tend to contemplate and understand problems. Men tend to analyze and resolve problems. So women create problems because it's in their nature, and men solve problems because it's in their nature. Women don't tend to create to understand and then resolve. They tend to bring to light issues. That's why, and I am 100% guilty of hearing problems from my girlfriend and going straight to the resolution and not truly listening to how she feels and what she needs from me. I go straight to resolution, and sometimes they say all she wants to do is talk. Have you seen the little video of it's not about the nail? It's not about the nail. It's a short video. I'll send it to you if you haven't seen it. It's hilarious. It's a short video with a woman. She's got a nail sticking out of her forehead, and she's like, "Oh, there's something. I just got like so much going on, and I can't really figure out what it is." And he says, "Well, is it that?" And she says, "Are you really bringing this up again?" And he says, "Well, if you just get rid of it." And she says, "It's not about the nail." And he says, "Okay." And then she's like, "I just got so much pain right here." And anyway, it's a funny video. It's not about the nail. Quote, "Your wisdom consists not of the knowledge you already have, but your continual search for knowledge, which is the highest form of wisdom. Your wisdom consists not of the knowledge you already have, but your continual search for knowledge, which is the highest form of wisdom. Never stop learning, kids. Never stop learning. That's rule 9. Assume the person you are listening to knows something you don't. Rule 10. Be precise in your speech. Bringing up problems in a relationship initiates the road to resolve. Ignoring amplifies the problem and cannot remove the issue. A broken machine will operate poorly if the issue is not diagnosed and addressed. Same thing with relationships. Quote, you must determine where you have been in your life so you can know where you are now. You can't get to where you're going, or you can't get to where you're going. Random wandering will not move you forward. Be precise. Be precise in your speech. He gives examples of relationships that he's counseled over the years where a man becomes sexually disinterested and cheats, and the woman who was blissful and thought everything was hunky-dory all of a sudden questions the security of everything in her life, and decides, instead of to resolving the issue, decides to get back at him. And this is also every rom-com you've ever watched. But the best way to handle contention in an intimate relationship is first to be very clear about what it is you want, what it is you need, and for the other person to listen and to hear those things, to understand them. And sometimes your partner can meet you with your needs and your wants, and sometimes they cannot. And I am no relationship expert, and this is not financial advice. But it's very important for transparency and honesty, like the other rules, and also to be very precise in relating your wants and your needs. If a man that feels sexually disinterested in their relationship relays that information to his spouse before committing any kind of infidelity, perhaps there could be some kind of resolve. And maybe the resolve is divorce. Maybe the resolve is separation. Maybe the wife can't meet him where he wants to be. Maybe he can't meet the wife where whatever. So, but most important to hold your integrity and to be true to yourself is to be honest at all times. Hey, I'm giving kid advice and I'm giving relationship advice, and I'm neither married nor have children. I just read the fucking books. A broken machine will operate poorly if the issue is not diagnosed and addressed. This is be precise in your speech. All right, Rule 11 and Rule 12. Like I said, I have very little recollection of these chapters. So the Cliff Notes. Okay, here's a picture of 12 Rules for Life and Antidote to Chaos by Jordan B. Peterson. Rule 11 is to accept that inequality exists. The chapter title is Do Not Bother Children When They Are Skateboarding. I don't get anything out of that that chapter title. But this picture says, accept that inequality exists. I do remember the majority of the chapter is how his daughter was diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, something like that. Very young, lost function of her legs, and related to what the picture says, there is inequality in the world. And going back to what we talked about earlier with hierarchies, there is inequality in almost every aspect of life. But this inequality is not bad. It's not inherently evil. Pretty much, I would say, just like any other conflict, it's not the fact that hard things are happening. It's how we respond to hard things. And I really don't remember much. I remember her actually she was supposed to lose one of her legs, but she ends up recovering and gaining function of her legs again, if I remember right. and is an amazing miracle. And it had something to do with how they handled the issue. Instead of being spiteful and bitter because of the inequality, they doubled down and figured the issue out. So, I'm going to go back to dominance or just hierarchies in general. It's a common it's a common desire to be at the top of hierarchies. So the man or the woman who is the most attractive will almost always statistically get the most attractive partners. And the least attractive people get the least attractive partners. And that is just a hierarchy. And it's not an evil thing. It is just how that's how natural selection works. The most attractive or the most successful people usually have the best pick for partners. And I think the smartest people usually get the best jobs. The most ambitious people get most promotions. The most productive people find the most success, or whatever. There's just hierarchies, but not one person doesn't usually or can hardly ever fit the top of all the hierarchies. He says, I don't know if I wrote it down actually, but he says success. Oh, maybe I did. Hold on. Yes. A collective pursuit of a goal creates a hierarchy. Absolute equality would require the removal of value itself. Okay, I'll say that one more time because that's important. Absolute equality would require the removal of value itself. To equalize everybody on every playing field would remove value from that thing. A well-structured culture allows for many hierarchies for people to win in areas, and some areas the losers of that to win in the other hierarchy. So yeah, so one person wins and the other person loses that hierarchy, and a well-structured culture has another hierarchy, another system where the loser wins and the winner loses. It's just it's a well-structured hierarchy has balance, that kind of balance, where so you don't rely on one winner. There's multiple winners over multiple fields. Just like the jock isn't always the engineer, and the engineer isn't always the jock. All right, there's a good example. Hierarchies thrive in an evil way when they exploit the losers of that hierarchy. Yeah, except that there is inequality in life. There you go. That's Rule 11. I guess there's more to Rule 11 than I realized. Rule 12, yeah. Take time to appreciate the good things in life. Rule 12 is pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. So and then the only thing I wrote was take time to appreciate the good things in life. So that's all I got to say about that rule. Coda, outro. Better to have strength in adversity than to wish for a life free of trouble. It's better to be strong. It's better to have hard things happen to you and be stronger from them than to have than to experience nothing and be weak. And unfortunately, I believe we live. Let me drink this coffee. My mouth is getting very dry. Oh yeah. Unfortunately, I believe we live in a society that almost rewards complacency and laziness, and because those people are able to voice themselves in their positions and demand equality, where hard work and grit and sacrifice are hardly rewarded in the present moment. They are for sure rewarded in the long term. Just like the making good, consistent decisions every day doesn't going to the gym today one time does not do anything for you for the long haul. In fact, it might only make you sore and tired today. It might only have some kind of negative effect. But going to the gym every day or every other day for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes for three or four times a week for 5 years or 2 years or 1 year will have a dramatic impact for longevity with health, with cognitive function, and you experiencing hard things. It's proven experiencing hard things makes you humble and present in each moment, or at least it allows for that. So being present, being able to do hard things today helps you be a better person in the future. And in the past, our hunter gatherer ancestors did not survive if they were lazy. If you were lazy, you either were kicked out of the tribe, just like that old dog and the young dog from earlier. You either kicked out of the tribe or you died because you didn't get any food, because you can't just go to the you can't DoorDash berries and wild game 500 years ago or 1,000 years ago. The strong and the fittest survived. The smartest and sometimes the most conniving and the evil ones survived. But the fact is, all of our ancestors were tough motherfuckers. And now we live in a world that's soft, and it's making people soft. And I'll say this quote that I said last time one more time. Hard times make hard men. Hard men make easy times. Easy times make soft men. And soft men make hard times. And like I said, I believe we are in the we're in the easy times, and it's making easy, soft men and women. And we demand equality. We demand, and okay, and like that sounds so anti woke or racist to not demand equality. I mean, let's talk about, if you want to talk about equality, I advocate for fairness and for people to be treated equally, but I do not support laziness. Lazy people to be rewarded like hard workers, because most people have something to do. So hard and so wise. Yeah, remember that quote from earlier. Remember that quote from earlier about wise people. I don't think people that are lazy should be rewarded or compensated like hard workers. And you could I don't think that applies to people who are sick or disabled, because people who are sick and disabled aren't capable. But people who are capable and choose not to work or choose not to sacrifice. And I'm no example of perfect or even ideal hard work. I'm very critical of myself and push myself hard because I know that I'm capable of doing more than what I do, and I feel guilty when I'm lazy. And there's a balance and then I always think about Do Nothing by Celeste Headley. I mention that book all the time because I really I need the lesson from that book. I admire her wisdom. There is a balance between going balls to the wall and appreciating what's happening in your life and in each moment. So I'm not here saying to give you 110% at all times and to give up your life, give up your family, give up your friends in pursuit of success or wealth or fame or whatever. I think a happy life is a meaningful life, and according to Jordan Peterson, a meaningful life includes sacrificing instant pleasures, instant gratification for delayed gratification. Sacrificing your time now to your future self. And when you sacrifice yourself today, when you sacrifice yourself today for an easier life in the future, you're also sacrificing today for a better future for everybody else. When you become more capable, more wise, and stronger, and whatever, not only are you benefiting, but so are the people around you. And when the people around you benefit, they influence the people around them, and it spreads. And then some people become highly influential and reach a lot of people. Rogan reaches probably the most people in the world right now. And he has some of the brightest thinkers, and he also has some of the dumbest thinkers. He has tons of comedians who are idiots, but I also appreciate that part of him. He's the balance. He is to me an example of balancing grit and hard work with lightheartedness and happiness and satisfaction, because he has a one of my favorite episodes from Rogan happened to was a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, with oh wow, he had like three of his comedian friends on there, and they got drunk and they talked about life. They got sentimental for a little while, and then but most of it was just super hearty and fun and funny. And Rogan is one of the hardest workers that people that's out there right now. He just recently had Jocko Willink. He's had Goggins. He has Cam Hanes, who are ultra marathon runners, super successful people like Elon Musk, and then he gets doctors and scientists like Neil deGrasse Tyson, and uh, oh, other people. So anyway, sometimes you reach a lot of people through your hard work, and sometimes you only reach yourself. And that's all that matters. Reaching yourself at least is worth the pursuit. Rejecting instant gratification for your future self is worth it. That's the point. Yeah, mashed potatoes. Yeah, what's the balance between the do nothing principles and what you're describing? I don't feel bad about taking time to take it easy every day as long as I get a lot done throughout the day. That's the point. Yeah, that's exactly the point. I think in my brain, it's easy for me to get caught up in like no days off, no sleep, sacrifice everything, sacrifice your free time for sacrifice your free time for your pursuit, sacrifice your friendships, sacrifice your relationships for your pursuit, for your goals, your ambition. I don't think that's healthy, and I think a lot of people do that because they think that's what it takes to be successful. And sometimes I think that's what it takes to be ultra successful. I know Elon Musk, do nothing refers to Elon Musk saying he advocates for 3 or 4 hours of sleep every night, sleeping at the office, working 7 days a week, 16-hour days to be successful. That's what it takes to be successful. And Celeste Headley says, yeah, maybe that's what it takes to be to be successful in your area or to get to where you want. But what are you sacrificing along the way? You're sacrificing your peace and comfort now for this success that you're so hungry for. And if that's what you want, then you should go for it. But for me, I find the most amount of peace when I work hard, when I punish myself, when I guess it is like working out is a form of punishment. It's hard. It's really hard carrying heavy weight around a gym and pulling 200 pounds around on a sleigh and pushing 200 pounds around on a sleigh. It's just hard work. It's hard fucking work. But it builds my mental toughness. It builds my physical toughness. And then when life is hard, and how hard is it compared to our ancestors, I'm able to cope with it a lot better. Whereas people who are lazy all the time, when hard things happen to them, they're the kids that were not disciplined. They're the people that were not disciplined as kids. They think that they can push people's buttons until they get what they want. They weren't properly disciplined. They weren't properly trained or taught what the real world is like. The real world is whatever it is, and sometimes the more you bitch, the more things go your way. But you become not a very desirable person to be around. Instead, I think something more desirable is sacrificing instant gratification pleasures for long-term health. And I'm not dissing you at all, Hade, or my friends, when I say sacrificing my evenings to go to bed early, sacrificing video games to go to bed early so I could get up, makes me feel like a better person. It makes me like I got up today at 5:30. I went to bed at 8:30 last night, and I just feel great. And I missed out on playing video games with my friends. Something that really fulfills it fills my friendship tank. It's awesome. But I miss it. I sacrifice that so I can be a better person. And because I care enough about my friends, I make other plans. Like we went and played 4 hours of pickleball the other day, which to me is an even better form of hanging out. So I had one other note. I think I said suffering poorly instead of suffering well, and choosing not to take the steps to improve your situation is true hell. If you are suffering and you know why you're suffering, like let's say let's say you're sick with, maybe you're fat, you're obese, or maybe your relationship sucks and you know why it sucks, because you know you're a liar, you're lying about something, or you're giving your suffering in your job because you know you're only giving half of your effort. It's whatever your circumstances. If you know why you're suffering and you choose not to resolve it, that situation is true hell. That's what Peterson says is true hell. Not taking accountability for your mistakes and your shortcomings, or ignoring them, or wanting to improve and then not taking the proper steps to improve is true hell. So I hope that answers your question for the balance between the do-nothing principles and what we're describing. I think most people, especially today, don't advocate for working 16 hours and sacrificing your friends and family, the important relationships, for your long-term success. At least I don't believe in it, and I'm getting a lot of I got confirmation bias in these books that I'm reading. Maybe somebody's saying it, I'm just not seeing their message, but I think real pure happiness comes from pursuing meaning and not expedience. Bam. What rule was that? Rule 7, pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. That's 12 rules for life. The Antidote to Chaos, and Antidote to Chaos, by Jordan B. Peterson. And he's got a sequel. He's got 12 more rules. And I'm not going to read it anytime soon because it was a hard read. 16 hours of stories and really intelligent words that go over my head. So maybe I should split a book like that up into 2 parts. Okay, that's it. Lots of ranting. I like the rant today, though. I liked where this conversation went today. So if you like this message, go on and share it with someone that you care about, someone that might be struggling. Not because my words are anything significant. I'm just relaying the words from these really smart people. And the podcast goes live, as you may already know, after Monday. It comes live Tuesdays around 8 a.m. on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. But the live stream is always up on YouTube and Facebook and Streamlabs OBS and Twitch. So you can go back and watch the videos there too. Otherwise, next week, we're getting closer to Christmas. The 13th, and then the 20th, and then it's Christmas week. So we'll be here next week. You have my socials down here if you want to reach out with any recommendations, but I don't get any recommendations really anymore, which is great because now I got to go through my long list of want to reads. So thanks for showing up, Mashed Potatoes. You're a G. You're a true gangster. I'll send you that essay. Got your email. And it's nothing special. It was just a rant of my meditation. So it's not very long. Go do something challenging. Come to terms with what's meaningful in your life. Pursue the things that are significant. Reject the things that don't contribute to your future health, your future success. It's important to spend quality time with people that are important to you. It's important to spend time with yourself, in nature, relaxing. It's important for your health and for your happiness. Working 16 hours is not important to you. It doesn't contribute to your health. It does not contribute to your well-being. It might contribute to your future success, which then translates to your health and well-being. But what are you sacrificing? Is the sacrifice worth it? Sometimes people got to work overtime. They got to go into the office early. They got to work weekends. It's just how it is. Is the sacrifice worth it? If the sacrifice is not worth it, you shouldn't be doing it. So it's important to understand what's worth it and what's not worth it. I think that's the point between do nothing and these hardcore principles. So thanks for showing up. Let's go have a great week. It's December. It's going to be like 12 degrees this week. Stay warm, stay frosty, and stay hard. We'll see you next time.
している。で読み直している。で読み直している。だけがで読み直している。で読み直している。